What's going on, everyone? We finally have our first look at Sony's upcoming Morbius movie based on the living vampire from Marvel Comics. It stars Jared Leto, Tyrese Gibson, Adria Arjona, Matt Smith, and Jared Harris. And it also exists within the same universe set up by Venom, and possibly based on this trailer with the MCU as well. So with this video, I'm going to basically break down some of the key moments that you might have missed in the trailer, and kind of explain some of the characters that we're going to be introduced to in this film, and then wrap it up with some of my thoughts on why this movie actually could be pretty cool. So if you guys aren't familiar with the character, Dr. Michael Morbius was born with a rare blood disease that's extremely debilitating, and he dedicates his entire life to finding a cure. He's incredibly smart and talented and has won a Nobel Peace Prize in the comic books and seemingly in this film in physiology or medicine. He's usually portrayed as determined but also arrogant because of the lengths that he goes to, which ultimately leads to his transformation into a vampire-like monster. In terms of abilities and weaknesses, Morbius possesses superhuman strength, speed, stamina, agility, reflexes, and acute sensing. He also possesses a healing factor, psionic gliding, mesmerism with direct eye contact of victims, and he can also create other vampires by draining the blood of his victims. Like I had mentioned earlier, Morbius is incredibly smart and possesses a genius-level intellect within the Marvel Universe. In terms of weaknesses, he does have sensitivity to sunlight like most vampires, but he can't be killed by it. He also must constantly ingest blood several times a week, and he becomes progressively weaker the longer he goes without it. In the film, it also seems like his acute sensing will be somewhat in the form of bat sonar, as he mentioned in the trailer, and it's shown visibly with a Daredevil-like quality to it, so I think that's actually pretty cool they've introduced that. The female character that we see prominently in the film, Martine Bancroft, is in the comic books the fiancée of Morbius and a wealthy socialite. When Michael becomes a vampire, she helps him keep his connection to humanity and tries to keep him from further going down to the darker side of his character. Later on, however, she's also transformed into a vampire herself as a direct result of Michael Morbius. The other character that we're introduced to, played by Jared Harris, is Emil Nikos, Morbius' mentor and friend who looked after him his entire life. In the pages of Marvel comic books, when Morbius becomes a living vampire, he tragically kills his friend Emil, who helped him develop the pseudo-cure. Now, as for the last three characters that I'm going to touch upon, we only briefly see them in the trailer, but they all have very big implications for the film. So first up, we get a glimpse of Noxious Crown, played by Matt Smith, who in the comic books is known as Hunger, another vampire-themed character and an adversary to Morbius. In the film, Smith's version of Crown has been described as Morbius' best friend who also suffers from the same blood disease. It's assumed at some point he'll become a vampire and the two will fight it out, possibly having opposing ideals for what to do with their powers, which is kind of similar to Venom and Riot in the Venom movie that got released a couple years ago. Next up, we've got FBI agent Simon Stroud, portrayed by Tyrese Gibson. We only briefly see him in the trailer, but he definitely stands out as one of the major characters. Although a lot of fans speculated that Gibson would be playing Blade in this film, that was later confirmed to be not the case. Instead, he's playing FBI agent Simon Stroud. Stroud was in the comic books an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. turned mercenary who often came across supernatural characters like Morbius and Manwolf, the son of J. Jonah Jameson. It appears in the trailer, this version of Stroud has some form of augmentation, so it should be interesting to see whether or not they include references to S.H.I.E.L.D. or any other organization as part of the character's past. And last but not least, we have the big reveal at the end of the trailer in the form of the Vulture returning. So the trailer ends off with a pretty big confirmation that this film and others in Sony's burgeoning Marvel Universe will have some form of crossover with the MCU as we see Adrian Toomes return. Last we saw Toomes, he was going to prison in Homecoming and met up with the Scorpion. It seems like Morbius indeed takes place after Far From Home and will directly address the events of that film. So with Toomes having met Morbius before, possibly in prison, and now free, maybe he'll put together a team of his own to track down the Spider-Man. So those are the big things that I took away from the trailer, big characters and big reveals that we have, that this film is more or less connected to the MCU in some strange way, or will at least address the fact that Tom Holland's Spider-Man does exist, as we see in the trailer, a graffitied picture of Spider-Man, actually from the video game, funny enough, with the word murderer written over it. Obviously a direct connection to Mysterio's final video that was leaked by the Daily Bugle. There also have been some rumors that J.K. Simmons will portray J. Jonah Jameson in Morbius to actually interview the Doctor before he becomes a living vampire. So that should be cool to see if that does pan out, but ultimately I'm actually pretty excited for this movie. The trailer looks actually decent. I was not sure how to feel about it because, you know, while I did enjoy Venom, I think Morbius is definitely a harder character to sell, but with all the elements they put into the trailer, that should get fans interested, especially with the whole Vulture tease at the end, which I'm really hoping is not like a post-credits thing they just put into the trailer, because if any studio was going to do that, it would definitely be Sony. But drop your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you guys think of the first teaser trailer for Morbius? Are you excited to check out the Living Vampire's first standalone movie? What do you think of the tone of the trailer, how it looks, the different characters that we're going to be getting, and what are you hoping to see out of this movie the most? Thank you guys again for checking out my video and my channel. If you want to see some more content like this, I've got a review for Bad Boys for Life coming up soon, and some other movies I just recently saw. Hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it so you can get immediately notified whenever I drop a new video. And if you want to get in touch with me directly, check out my social media links down in the description box, and I will see you guys in the next video.